She has been labelled by some as a firebrand radical convert, but journalist and convert to Islam, Yvonne Ridley, says she simply speaks her mind in order to dispel a few myths, and that people should look behind the veil before judging the women who wear it.
Now, here is a very unusual story of conversion to Islam, one that came about after being held captive by the Taliban in Afghanistan. And Yvonne joins us now from the UK to talk about it. Lovely to talk to you, Yvonne. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Now, as I just said, for people who don't know your story, you were captured by the Taliban after reporting. You negotiated your way out by promising your captors that you would read the Quran. Did you have an intention to do that when you promised it, and why did you keep to that promise?
I would have promised to have learned Swahili backwards if I thought it was going to get me out of that situation.
Not as life-changing, I imagine.
Yes, quite. But once I got back to London, I reflected on the experience and realised that Islam was a way of life and more than a religion that was picked up on a Friday and put down again after Friday prayers. So to report with any degree of accuracy on the Muslim world, I thought I need to read this Holy Quran and fulfil this promise. And so I started to read it. I was already a practicing Christian, so I didn't actually make a great leap of faith. I'm still praying to the same God. I just do it in a different way now.
What was it about Islam that appealed to you so much that you wanted to convert and went through that process, Yvonne?
Well, it took about 2 years of thorough investigation. For me, I felt it was the theme of equality and justice which ran through the pages of the Holy Quran. Now, that might surprise quite a few of your viewers because there is a different vision of Islam out there. Some of it by a media that has an Islamophobic streak, and some of it because of the antics that are happening in the Muslim world today.
On that point, I mean, many people just assume that it is integral to Islam that women are subservient or in many ways subjugated. Now, of course, pardon me, Yvonne, around the world, we all have so far to go to ensure equality between men and women. Even here in Australia, you know, the gender pay gap's a huge issue. Domestic violence remains a huge issue. There are many indicators by which women lag behind. Though it must be said that there are numerous countries around the world, cultures around the world, that use Islam, wrongly or rightly, as a justification for the cultural subjugation of women. I mean, what do you do about that?
Well, the trouble is, Andrew, if men get a chance, they will try and force and control and push their views onto women. And, you know, we just have to stand up and be robust in the face of this misogyny, which, as you quite rightly pointed out, isn't just something that's in the Muslim world. It's a global problem. And, you know, I'm just reading Julia Gillard's book at the moment, and, you know, the misogynistic practices within the heart of the Australian Parliament were quite an eye-opener to me. But I think that, you know, we've really got to start trying to reach out and understand more, not just in the Muslim world, but there are all sorts of injustices happening to women around the world that we must address.
You've been a member of the feminist movement since the 70s. You still call yourself a proud feminist. There seems to be an impression that if you are a Muslim woman that you can't be a feminist as well. How do you believe that the Quran looks at women?
Well, the Quran makes it perfectly clear, makes it crystal clear that women are equal in spirituality, worth and education. But as was mentioned before, there are some men who will try and distort the message in the Quran, try and, especially in patriarchal societies, try and force their views in the name of Islam, which is wholly incorrect. And the best way to challenge this is through knowledge and through the Quran, because when you start challenging men about the contents of the Quran, they usually take a step back.
In the Quran, Yvonne, as well as in, you know, the Bible and as well as in the holy text of many religious traditions, there are certain injunctions about the way that men may, for example, discipline their wives, which would, on the face of it, seem to be a very patriarchal, very dominating. And yet the lived experience for people of those faiths is often very different. How do you address that disjuncture between, you know, the written word and the lived experience where it does exist, particularly when you're dealing with, you know, fanatics of any religion?
There is nowhere in the Holy Quran that gives a man permission to be violent towards his wife. There is nothing in the Holy Quran that says a woman has to cook, clean, hoover, wash the dishes and be servile to her husband. In fact, again, the Quran makes it quite clear that there is an equal partnership between a man and a woman, and this is made quite clear.
Yvonne, you were a party girl before you converted. I read somewhere that you'd said you always had a bottle of Bolly at the ready. Do you feel like you have found peace now, and do you miss your partying ways?
Well, you know, I wasn't a bad person before I converted to Islam, and in fact, I wasn't even looking for anything at the time that I was captured in Afghanistan. I was very happy with my life. I was chief reporter of the Sunday Express newspaper, and for me, you know, I was a party girl and loved life. I still love life. I just have focused my life in a different, more meaningful and constructive way now. But, you know, I look back on my past life and I do smile at some of the antics that I got into. But as I say, you know, I wasn't a bad person, but I do like to think that I'm a better person now.
Sure. I mean, that's a tough choice for many of us, Bollinger or God. And I'm glad to see that you've thought about it a lot more deeply
than we have.
Yvonne, it's been a pleasure to chat to you this morning, and look forward to doing so again sometime in the future. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.